Well, hey guys, I'm Mark,
I'm Rachel.
and this is your Cornerstone Daily Connection. Well, have you ever been in a situation where you didn't have what you needed?
Absolutely. We were getting married on a Saturday. This was Monday. So we got married in Michigan.
Yep.
In Michigan, you have to have 3 days ahead of your wedding to get your marriage license.
This is very important detail.
Very important. And so that Monday, we had planned to go to City Hall and get our marriage license, so then we would have like a little bit of leeway for the 3-day wait period, whatever. And so we had driven from Missouri there. There was stuff all over. My parents' house was full of people, full of children, some crying a lot.
A lot of crying.
There's a lot of things happening. And so
mostly for me, I cried a lot.
No. So I had everything kind of in one like package, like all of our IDs and all the stuff you had to have.
Yes.
And when I went to look, I could not find our passports. And I was the one holding both passports. Now, not only were these necessary to get the marriage license, we were planning on going to France for our honeymoon the day after our wedding on Sunday.
So passports help.
Yes. And we had been down the stairs in the car and I looked everywhere, couldn't find them. I ran through the house with all of my family going, "What is your problem?"
Right.
I tore apart the bedroom I was staying in, tore apart everything, and I couldn't find it. And I've never actually had a panic attack in my life, but if it was anything close to it, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So then we're in the middle of the road and I am just pulling stuff and just throwing it and saying, I can't find it. And I start just sobbing. I was a mess, guys. I was a mess. We finally found them. In fact, truthfully, I don't actually remember where they were, but I think you found them.
Yeah, it's someplace.
They were there. We had them. It was great. Everything went great. Obviously, we got married. We were able to leave the country. It was great. But in that moment,
terrifying.
I did not have what I needed.
It's terrifying. You know, this chapter in Ephesians is about having what we need to specifically to stand strong in the Lord. And so it goes over some different parts called the armor of God here in Ephesians chapter 6. And but it's all about that. It doesn't mention a passport, but I feel like maybe a passport should have been on there.
You know, I mean, if you're going to leave the country, you got to have one.
It's true. Do you get a passport, do you think, when you die and go to heaven? Is that the first thing you get?
No.
I digress. So,
I don't even know what we're talking about now.
In chapter 6, the first piece of armor that's mentioned is a belt. And did you know that in the type of armor that's being described, it's not that heavy, bulky armor like maybe you saw if you ever
not like
showed
medieval times.
Right. Like in all the pictures that we show kids, right? It's this big, bulky armor. The kind of armor that Paul is describing here would be more for hand-to-hand combat, and it was all about being mobile and versatile. So the first part, you have a belt, and you would tuck all of your clothes and all of your linens into the belt, and this belt would be foundational to the whole rest of the armor.
Interesting.
It would even hold it all together.
Wow.
And so Paul calls it the belt of truth. And it was making me think, how is truth, and here we're talking about truth as an integrity or faithfulness. How is integrity or truth foundational to the whole rest of our life?
Well, I mean, I think, we say a lot of times that everything has to be built on the truth of the Bible.
Yes.
And if we don't have that truth, or, that really common phrase nowadays, that's the my truth, your truth.
Oh my goodness, don't get me started.
Then obviously everything kind of falls apart if you don't have what actual truth is.
It's true. And so many people try to start in reverse.
Right.
They try to start with the outside layers. I want to have my church life put together. I want to have my career put together. I want to have my marriage put together. And yet, if we don't have the right character before God, if we don't have that in place, it's all going to fall apart.
Absolutely.
And it might take combat for it to fall apart. But as soon as the enemy pushes you, as soon as the enemy brings that difficult time down your path, all the armor is going to fall apart.
Absolutely.
Well, the next piece of armor here that's described is called the breastplate of righteousness.
Okay.
And a breastplate in this type of situation is it would be something that would be strong enough to stop an enemy arrow.
So we're talking like a bulletproof vest.
Yes. Kind of. So you
Okay,
can think of like
okay.
if it was in today's world, it would be like you have
Your Kevlar.
Yes, you have the Kevlar on. It describes it as righteousness is like that.
What I always heard, I remember hearing this as a kid, is that it was actually, the bulletproof vest, the breastplate of righteousness was meant to guard your heart. And so righteousness can guard our heart, the actual true us, the soul, our soul, in those situations. And so having that righteousness, doing what is right before God, and again, it's kind of connected with that truth. Like if these aren't independent of each other.
No. And actually, I was reading a commentary on this, and the commentator said that these pieces of armor are never talked about independent of each other.
Oh, wow.
So it is one unit. All of these things do absolutely work together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I liked how you talked about that righteousness, because that's exactly how we describe righteousness to kids. We say, what is righteousness? It's right actions.
Right, exactly.
Right
Doing
actions
what's
before our holy God.
Yeah.
And so doing those things, doing those right actions before God
Yeah.
is what guards our heart.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that can really guide you in your whole life. I remember as a kid, my parents would often quote an older pastor who had, long since died, but who was kind of famous for saying, do right, no matter what, do right till the stars fall, do right. And I think that's kind of that important, that righteousness, that breastplate of righteousness that guards us.
Amen. Well, hey, as you continue reading through Ephesians chapter 6, think about the other parts of the armor of God and think about how do they all work together. It's all right.
Sorry, I was just giving a little review of what they were,
Nice.
The passport. Wait, that's not there.
Not the passport. That's not one of them.
No, sorry.
Hey, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.